Hello everybody, it's Jen, Scrapbena Creations. I'm back with another card using the Childhood Friends stamp set by Kindred Stamps. I'm in love with this stamp set. It totally brings me back to my childhood, which is exactly what I think it was meant to do. So for today's card, we're just going to use one image. We're going to use the little tiger here bouncing on his tail. For his ears, the patch around his eyes and his muzzle, nose, not sure what the correct term is on a tiger. We're going to color that yellow. I laid out my Y15, Y13, and Y11, but for this first coat, I only used the Y13 and the Y11. I was afraid to go darker with the Y15. I was trying to mute this out with the W00, but it wasn't quite dark enough, so I brought in the W1 to try to mute that a bit. I'm going to come back and fix this after, but I moved on with the orange here. So I'm using YR09 as my darkest, YR07 as my midtone, and YR16 as my lightest color. So I'm going to add the darkest shades where his ears are touching his head, around his eyes, around his mouth and nose, and then under his head, and where his arms kind of cross over. Anywhere where the body, two pieces of the body touch would cast a shadow, and then right under his tail where his bum would cast a little shadow as well. So then I'm bringing in my midtone and leaving just a little bit for the YR16 to give a very subtle highlight. He is so cute with his little sideways smile here bouncing on his tail. This is really fun to color up. It was super easy. For the stripes on the tiger, I'm just going to use the C9. They're small enough that I'm not worried about any kind of blending here. I also darkened up his cute little eyebrows. I'm really just barely touching the paper here as I'm laying in this dark gray color. The stripes are very, very tiny and I didn't want them to bleed. So the best way to achieve that is to just barely touch your marker to the paper. For his nose and his mouth, I'm using the R20. Here's where I decided to bring in that Y15, and I like the way this looks much better. The darker contrast just fits together better with the contrast in his orange coat color. So then bringing in the midtone again, and then I'll finish off with the lightest color. Once I finish coloring him up, I am going to fussy cut him out. Super simple to do. So when I fussy cut, I go around as close as possible to the image, cutting it out entirely, and then I will go around the image leaving the littlest bit of a white line. So making sure to keep my scissors still and move the paper for a nice smooth cut. For the panel, this is going to be really simple. I'm using a wonky stitch die for the focal panel and then a stitched rectangle die for this orange pattern paper with hearts on it. I had this in a rainbow collection pack and I don't really use the color orange often, so I thought I should take advantage of it. And seeing that this would make a great Valentine's Day card, I thought the hearts were perfect. This is a great example of how you can use an everyday stamp and stretch it for a holiday card, meaning any type of holiday, by making it suit the specific holiday you're creating. So this would be a great Valentine's Day card. I grabbed some pink glitter cardstock and some red glitter cardstock, and I punched that out using an oldie but goodie Martha Stewart heart punch. If you don't have a heart punch, you could also do this with a heart stamp and just color in the images. So the sentiment I'm using is "You make my heart bounce." So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere all these little hearts, kind of like a pile of hearts. I was kind of thinking of sort of bouncing through a pile of leaves, but in this case, a pile of hearts. So I'm just going to overlap these. I'm adding some of them straight, some of them a little bit more on a diagonal, and some of them sideways, just to make it look like they're not perfectly adhered down, so that they have some fun movement to them. I left all of this in just so you could kind of see how the card was constructed. Fairly simple. I mean, you're just doing a pile of hearts here, so you can really create this any way that you want. I didn't want the hearts to go over the sentiment. I wanted to keep it kind of on the same area, just overlapping ever so slightly. So it comes a little bit past the U on the right and a little bit past the bounce. No, other way around. The U on the left, the bounce on the right. So almost done here, just kind of balancing out the red from the pink. I am going to pop my little tiger here up on some foam adhesive just to give him some dimension. Just had to trim that off a little bit, and I will take off the release paper and then adhere that down to my card. For some added interest, I'm going to draw in some kind of movement squiggles. I wanted to make it look like he was actually bouncing. I'm going to lay a couple of the hearts coming off the pile to make it look like his bouncing caused some of the hearts to go flying. I used a pencil here first because I wasn't sure how exactly it would look. But I am going to come back in with my Memento Tuxedo black marker here and draw those in. Now, off screen, after I finished this card, I ended going back over these with my black glaze pen, as well as his eyes, which really gave it a nice pop of glistening black. I really love that pen for adding detail. So just going to add the final few hearts on here, and that will finish the card today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all really soon. Bye!